White-collar crime is a term used to describe a type of crime committed by individuals who hold high-status or white-collar jobs. This type of crime is usually characterized by non-violent, financially motivated criminal activities that are committed in a business or corporate setting. Here are the top 10 white-collar crime cases in history. Number 10. Marcus Schrenker fraud and attempted fake death. Although he didn't wield the same kind of power as guys such as Lay, Ebers or Kozlowski, Schrenker, who owned 3 financial companies, accumulated a bounty of wealth as an investment advisor responsible for multi-million-dollar pension funds. But it all disappeared in an instant. His failure to inform 7 investors of high fees for switching annuities and the resulting loss of $250,000 brought forth a complaint from the Indiana Department of Insurance in 2008 that intensified suspicion of his unethical practices. Ultimately, the expiration of his Indiana State Financial Advisor's license prompted an investigation. In 2009, instead of facing the consequences of his action, Schrenker attempted to fake his death by faking a plane crash, parachuting out before the damage was done. Number 9. Countrywide political loan scandal. As evidenced by the countrywide political loan scandal of 2008 and 2009, as long as campaigns are privately financed and businesses have stake in the political game, those uncomfortable relationships will continue to exist. Former Countrywide CEO Angelo Mazzillo can attest to the discomfort, as his Friends of Angelo program, which provided politicians mortgage financing at non-competitive rates, helped tarnish his already floundering reputation. He resigned on July 1, 2008 and a later reached settlement with the SEC in which he agreed to pay $67.5 million in fines because he misled shareholders regarding the internal dealings of the company. Number 8. Jack Abramoff lobbying scandal. In an unmistakably Washington saga deserving of its own movie, Abramoff's cluster of scandals had far-reaching consequences implicating politicians and even the mob. In 2006, he pled guilty to fraud, conspiracy and tax evasion for his efforts to cheat Indian casino gambling interests out of roughly $85 million in fees. A couple of months later, he was sentenced to 70 months in prison for using a fake wire transfer in order to qualify for a $60 million loan and the purchase of Sun Cruise Casinos, a deal which resulted in the murder of former owner Konstantinos Gusboulis. Number 7. Health South accounting scandal. One of the largest comprehensive rehabilitative services companies in the country, Health South had been suspected of unethical financial practices since its emergence in the late 80s. Under the leadership of Richard Scrushy, it was discovered that it falsified at least $2.7 billion worth of profits between 1996 and 2002, and later agreed to pay $325 million for allegedly defrauding Medicare and other federal healthcare programs, according to the Department of Justice. Scrushy was acquitted of charges related to the matter, but later sentenced to a 6-year, 10-month prison sentence for bribery and mail fraud in an unrelated case. Number 6. Tyco accounting scandal. A year after he was named one of the top 25 corporate managers of 2001 by Business Week, it was uncovered that Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski, along with former CFO Mark Schwartz, stole more than $150 million from the company, including $2 million that was used for a birthday party for Kozlowski's wife that was thrown in Sardinia. The thieving men were spared after their first trial was declared a mistrial because a juror said she received a letter urging her to side with the prosecution. The second trial ended with the convictions of Kozlowski and Schwartz, as both were sentenced to no less than 8 years and 4 months in prison. Number 5. Adelphia collapse. At the time of its bankruptcy in 2002, Adelphia was the 5th largest cable provider in the U.S., and in 2003, it generated more than $3.6 billion in revenue. That's just $1.3 billion more than the off-balance sheet debt accumulated by the company, which led to its demise. John Rigas, the founder, and Timothy Rigas' son, who ran the company, are currently serving 15 and 20-year prison sentences respectively for embezzling the money from corporate investors and using corporate funds as their own. Adelphia's run of more than 50 years officially ended in 2006 when the remainder of its revenue-generating assets were purchased by Comcast and Time Warner. Number 4. In-stock trading scandal. Another chapter in the white-collar crime saga of the early 2000s. The in-stock trading scandal made headlines because of the involvement of Martha Stewart, who sold about $230,000 of the company's stock a day before an experimental cancer drug failed to gain FDA approval. Memorably, she was found guilty of obstruction of justice, conspiracy and lying about a stock sale, and served 5 months in prison. Number 3. Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. The word Ponzi was introduced into America's lexicon in late 2008 when Madoff was arrested and charged with securities fraud. The former lifeguard, sprinkler installer and chairman of NASDAQ managed to build a multi-billion-dollar investment firm with false trading reports, and without assistance from the major derivatives firms, each of which refused to trade with him. He was arrested after his misdeeds were reported by one of his sons. In 2009, he pled guilty to 11 federal crimes including securities fraud, money laundering and theft from an employee benefit plan. Number 2. WorldCom accounting scandal. Enron's impressive collapse was followed by the implosion of WorldCom, which was the doing of CEO Bernard Ebbers. His plan to compensate for the downturn of the telecommunications industry in 2000 and WorldCom's declining stock included the use of fraudulent accounting methods in order to deceive investors into thinking the company was in good health. The underreporting of line costs and inflation of revenues accumulated $3.8 billion in fraud and ended with the company's bankruptcy, then the largest in U.S. history. Ebbers, who resigned from WorldCom in April 2002, was sentenced to 25 years in prison for conspiracy and securities fraud and filing false statements with securities regulators. Number 1. Enron collapse. With revenues exceeding $100 billion and the distinction of being named by Fortune as America's most innovative company, Enron was a seemingly indestructible energy giant during the beginning of the 2000s. However, even during its rise in the 90s, rumors swirled that it was involved in illegal accounting procedures with its accounting firm Arthur Andersen. Then one of the big 5 accounting firms, Jeffrey Skilling, who served as president, COO and CEO, along with the staff he assembled, hid billions of dollars of debt through poor financial reporting, accounting loopholes and the use of special purpose entities. After stocks plummeted, the SEC conducted an investigation that ultimately resulted in the 24-year 4-month prison sentence of Skilling and 6-year sentence of Fasto. Please tell in comment section, do you like the video? For more interesting videos, please subscribe our YouTube channel, like the video and press the bell icon, so that you will be notified for our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.